There's a lot of misunderstandings of what sales is. You hear young people being scared of sales because they think sales is taking, right? But I think the true value of true meaning of the word sales, I think, comes from a Greek word, if you look it up, and it means to give. So sales done right is giving.
Are you looking to scale your business but don't have the marketing plan or budget to take it to the next level? In today's episode, Avetis discusses how HireClout has been able to 3x its growth and make its way into the Inc. 5000 list without spending a dime on paid advertising. HireClout's focus has been on providing exceptional service to their clients and has allowed them to mushroom and scale relationships utilizing this referral strategy for the past few decades. And Avetis is confident it can revolutionize your business too. Let's dive in.
Welcome everybody to the Tech Leaders Playbook. I'm here with my awesome co-host Nickolas, Natali. How you doing, brother?
Fantastic. Happy to be here again. Avetis, how are you?
Good, man. A little tired from a wild weekend. Lots of fun, lots of family, a little bit of partying, and but I survived, and here I am.
I love it.
I believe you had some questions about, that you get a lot, and I think as someone that's trying to ramp up their business, I think you wanted to know about how we built a business without any paid marketing.
That is correct. I have questions around how did you scale your business with no marketing? I shouldn't say that, with no paid ads, really. So let's start there. What's your main strategy when it comes to marketing and sales if you're not running a digital ad campaign, you're not buying out billboards? Seems like you're just building relationships. What's the strategy?
You basically covered it in that one sentence. So our strategy was always doing it one by one and based on building relationships, right? If you build relationships right and your relationships are based on alignment, then it's easy, right? Because what do people want? They want service providers to add value. So that's incredibly important. And if you add value, what do they want to do? They want to give back, right? So we started this business based on relationships we already had, and then we scaled it based on relationships we had. So for example, if I was working with one person that appreciated us and vice versa, we understood each other and did really well together, those people typically want to give back. An early memory was one of my favorite clients, this guy, Carlos Moreno, was such a good guy, and I really enjoyed working with him and learning from him early on in my career. And I did such a good job for him. He recommended me, he referred me to other great people within his company, right? So he was a director of engineering. He recommended me to other directors of engineering, and he had two things he needed from me. One was like, you can't forget me. I'm number one. You still got to support me. I was like, absolutely, done deal, whether you ask or not. And number two, you got to take good care of these people because they're also picky. They're also difficult. They're also this and that. And so right there, I had a commitment that I had to take care of. So I took great care of Carlos. I took great care of all those great people that he introduced me to. And then those people recommended me to other folks within the company and external to the company. So then I went on to do business with those companies. And then the folks at those current companies ended up leaving those companies, right? So if they worked at eHarmony, then they went to OpenTable and they went to here and there. And we kept, obviously, eHarmony because we had the good relationship there. We moved on and got clients in, wherever they went, they took us with them. And then they introduced us, and we mushroomed those companies and met different VPs and directors within those companies. Then those folks eventually leave those companies. We keep those clients and we move on with the next one. So for me, every relationship is minimum of 10x, right? Every relationship is worth at least 10 times that relationship. And when I say worth, I don't mean monetarily. I mean from a life-altering value proposition and vice versa. But that comes at a price. You have to take care of these people, right? Otherwise, your brand is ruined very quickly. So for me, it was never about the money. It was about scaling the relationships, about scaling the taking care of, right? And so that was huge. That was really, really, really important. And then the rest of it kind of feeds itself, right? You take care of people, you build a reputation. Tech is a small industry. People know you, they learn about you, they meet you, they have nothing but nice things to say, and you continually get business. And a lot of people just, I heard of you, or someone mentioned your name at a conference. Eventually, you don't have to do marketing. The stuff comes to you. But there's a point where it's no longer the Avetis show, right? It's no longer about you and your relationships. How do you scale a business to support 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 people? That becomes a lot more challenging.
Yeah, I'm curious to dive into that. You're bringing up something that's very important. One, the fact of like you're almost approaching these relationships with a sense of humility too, because I think there's a temptation for some people to write specific relationships off and be like, oh, this isn't going to be valuable for me, so I'm not even going to, invest in it. When in reality, like you're saying, each relationship can 10x. With some business owners I've been speaking with recently, a lot of their issues resolve around getting enough leads or getting quality leads. So I'm curious in terms of this referral based strategy, if you will, how do you keep pace? Like, was there ever a time where it was slow and you're like, oh, do I just go out there and meet more people? And how do you sustain something like that?
I'll talk about one thing you just mentioned. You talked about this relationship might not be worth it, for example, right? And that's a go-getter's mindset. A go-getter is about them, right? And what more can I get? You know what? I'm above this person now, or above this lead or this company. I don't want it anymore. I'm going to move on and I'm going to go get more. And I never believed that. You know that. For me, it's all about go giving, right? So for me, if I don't see value because they don't see value in our service or they're not serious, I'm out the door in a minute, right? I can care less about, I'm going to do it with professionalism, but if you don't appreciate or want the service, then there's really no point of us building a relationship or doing anything, and so on and so forth. I'm still going to treat you with respect, and we're going to hopefully cross paths in a good way. But if it's difficult, it's worth it, right? It's not about ease and it's not about me. It's about both sides. Both sides have to win from this relationship. So that's number one I want to cover, right? If it's difficult, it's probably worth it, but you have to set your expectations. You have to communicate what you want and what you need and vice versa. So if we're not aligned in what you expect from me, then we're not going to be able to win. And if we're not going to win, why would we want to work with you and vice versa? So that's really the key here is, again, back to alignment. You'll hear me talking about alignment all the time. I speak at conferences. I talk about alignment. I speak on this podcast. I probably talked about alignment. We were talking to an MBA coach on the last episode, and it was all about alignment of goals. He talked about he would go into cities and he would be on a 1-year contract. They would be on a 1-year contract. They were on a contract year, and so they needed to perform at the highest level. He was on a contract year. So like, how do we win together is really how I approach every one of these scenarios. I think that's incredibly important. What was your second part of that question, Nicholas?
The speed of referrals, because I think some people might not have the same network in the sense of like, how can I consistently bring in leads? And I mean, this might be something to do with, turnover of clients, et cetera. But how do you constantly have people knocking on your door and saying, yeah, like we love your service and we're going to we want to work with you, et cetera.
No shortcuts. That's the number one thing. You talked about speed. It's really difficult, right? There's no such thing as quality with speed at a low cost. So you got to, what do they say? That you got to choose two of those. It's rare that you could build something great and sustainable in a short period of time. I think it takes time. It's got to be done with white gloves, and it's got to be done with the right mindset. So if I tell you, hey man, I'm here for the long run, I'm here to contribute, but as soon as it gets difficult, I'm out the door, or as soon as I find something easier, I'm out the door. Everything I said was bullshit, right? It was just to get your business, and it was just to check a box, and I'm not interested in that. I never have been. So it took time, and that's partly why, Nicholas, we grew slower in the beginning, because there was no lead generation or even a referral strategy. We built a really successful business, and we had a consultant come in and he says, tell me about your referral system. And I was like, we don't have one. He goes, what are you talking about? You mentioned 95% of your business comes from referrals. I'm like, Yeah, it's really reactive. We just wait for people to give us great referrals. He's like, "Oh, that's crazy. You're leaving so much money on the table." And he was absolutely right. He was absolutely right. I still don't have necessarily an answer for that, right? I'm not the, I wish I was more of a sales guru or a referral guru. I'm really not. I think what I am is I'm a people guru, you could say.
Yeah.
I build great relationships, and from that stuff happens. But yeah, I mean, look, I believe in asking for what you want and not being cute about it. And just asking if there's a company I really want to work with, and Nickolas knows someone. I'm happy to ask for a referral, but you should create systems. Is the right way to go. I think you should have a system of how you ask, when you ask, because you'll know when you've added enough value where you have the right to ask for a referral. For me, if you ask a referral and you haven't added any value, you're getting nowhere, right? Because I don't know you, right? How do I know you're going to treat my friends well? How do I know you're going to do a good job for them or me, frankly? But if you do a great job without any expectations, except obviously to get paid, then if you exceed my expectations, I'm going to go out of my way to recommend you to friends and family. And it might not be right away. It could take time, and you have to have staying power in this business, especially in the relationship business. I think it's about staying power. It's, again, if you have a short term, hey, I've got to get this done in a year, it's a different strategy than I know how to think about, right? My strategy is long term, and if it's short term, then these don't necessarily work.
That all adds up. I think I want to know more. I'm curious about the process you have in place in terms of like knowing when to do something. And I believe you touched on it too, of like providing enough value. And I'll give an example from similarities we share. Something that just like breaks my heart is when I introduce someone, go out on a limb, and then they fall short in terms of like following up or maintaining this relationship. And it's like, this feels like I'm putting my reputation out here too for you. So obviously there has to be enough value in place and enough trust to, like you're saying too, is like
Yes.
the fact that like I don't know you, and how precious are you holding on to your network and providing those things. So when's a good time to ask someone for a referral?
When you feel like you've earned the right, and you've built the rapport, and you genuinely feel like you could add value to that person's network. So I don't think there's a time constraint on that, right? So it could be 3 days, it could be 3 years, it could be never. I don't have a set number, but it really comes down to the formula of, have you added enough value? I think that's what it is. And then you said something really interesting. You are putting your name out there every time you do a introduction, but it is about communication. And I think it's about setting expectations with both sides. So what that means is, if Nickolas, you say, hey, I'm looking for a great plumber, right? Something like that, transactional. My job is going to be one of two things. Hey, Nickolas, here's a great plumber. He's been incredible for me over the years, or he's been solid, he's been good, he's been decent. So I'm very honest about what this person has been. Or, hey, I just met this person. Seems like a good individual. So I'm setting the proper expectations of my level of history. But then I set the expectations with you to say, hey, don't hold me accountable to anything except all I know is this person's been good to me, right? That's it. Because your job is to say, no problem, I'll vet this person out myself, but I appreciate the referrals, right? So that's on that side. On the flip side, what you do is you say, hey, I'm referring you a great customer, but Avetis, you've got to make sure you take good care of them, man, because this person I have a good relationship with. This is not some random person. Please make sure your team is really on top of their stuff, and they're challenging. This is a challenging client, so don't take it on if you don't feel like you can deliver. Whoa. So it's communication on both sides, right? You're setting expectations with me, you're setting expectations with them, that, hey, I've got a service provider that's been good to me, but you all have to figure it out on your own. So again, it goes back to, what do we want, right? Setting the proper expectations, and being honest, man, and giving, because that's the whole point, right? It's about giving. There's a lot of misunderstandings of what sales is. You hear young people being scared of sales because they think sales is taking, right? But I think the true value of true meaning of the word sales, I think, comes from a Greek word, if you look it up, and it means to give. Isn't
Huh.
that funny?
Yeah.
Yeah. So sales done right is giving. Think about it. I can't ever sell you something you don't want, right? So, but if I do a great job of understanding what you want, when I deliver, am I giving or taking? If I deliver, I'm giving, right? If I deliver, I'm giving. If I don't deliver, then I'm not giving, I'm taking. So I think that's the misunderstanding that salespeople have. Their job is to give, not to take, not to sell. And the individual buying, they should be coming from a point of buying, which is high expectations, high but reasonable expectations, and it's their job to vet those people out, those partners, the sales, the product, the services. It's not on you, the referring source, right?
Man, so many great insights there, Vetus. One, I think that's true for all relationships, being honest, setting expectations, all of those things. I feel like that'll work in working relationships, personal relationships, and something I've seen in my own like professional career is not having assumptions or like not letting there be assumptions. So, and I don't want to hang up on this for too long, but like the idea of like, I just assume this person's going to take care of them. That's not always the case. Like I think, like you're saying, really, really set the tone there. And then also on the sales side, something that changed my perspective on things is when I buy something and it like I'm ecstatic about it. Like I received something that I really wanted and I really needed. That feels great. Like that's an amazing feeling to finally have a solution for a problem that I have. And that really flips sales on its head for me. But I don't want to let this go. Earlier you mentioned the challenges that arise with doing, it's more of like a network people process, but having it scale to be able to provide for 40, 50x employees. What challenges arise and how do you navigate them?
That's the difficult question because, again, your network could only take you so far. And what I noticed up until a couple years ago, it was the Avetis show, right? It was my relationships and how they scaled, and that's actually it's constraining, right? The company can't 10x based on my relationship. They could 2x, right? And that's why we've had really good growth over the years, but it's been slow and steady growth, which is, I think, beautiful. We're now at a point where we're ready 10x. We are ready to 10x, but that comes with what got you here won't get you there, right? And what got us here will not get us to the next level. And what got us here was my relationships, my this and that, by the way, with incredible people supporting it. So it's not that, I don't mean that it was me. It just meant my relationships helped us get to this certain point. And I have a great co-founder that's has got his own relationships. But now we're at a point where we have to scale based on other people's relationships. And that's challenging, right? Because I can only control myself and how I do business. Not everyone does business this way. And when they don't, when they use a transactional model versus a relationship model, they struggle. And sometimes they struggle so much that it's unfixable, meaning they're just not the type of people that are going to do it the way that we want. And sometimes it doesn't work out because of that, because we are not transactional as an organization. And we refuse to not only be transactional, but we refuse to allow transactional methods. Sometimes you get a little bit of a butting of heads and you get misalignment. And you have to set the expectations very on, like, hey, this won't work. We are a relationship-based organization. What that means is this. What that means is it sounds great until you have to actually execute over and over and over and over again. And it comes with tremendous sacrifice, believe it or not, because you do things that you're not comfortable doing. You do things that you're like, this is not the most monetarily intelligent thing to do, but this is the right thing to do. Right. So now the question is, how do you do it? Well, you have to hire people that think like you, meaning think like you, not from their clones of you. I don't want that. I don't want a bunch of fetuses. That's actually pretty scary. But I want a bunch of people that think like me from a relationship perspective, right? That they believe that relationships scale. They believe that you take great care of people, that they are actual go-givers. They're not go-getters with a go-giver wrap around them just to get the job or to keep the job, but they genuinely believe in this method. Then what they do is they have to now do the hard work. And it's slow. And sometimes they say, it's not working. I'm like, oh, it's not working? You've been doing it for 3 months. I've been doing it for 15, 16, 18, 20, 30 years. And when I say 15, 20, 30 years, I don't mean necessarily the business. I've been doing the business for 15. But I'm talking about I've been living like this my whole life, right? Without even knowing what it meant. If you ever read the book, Go-Givers Sell More, it's an incredible book. And while I read it, I was like, oh my God, no wonder people like doing business with me. Up until that, I had a little bit of imposter syndrome, like almost like, wonder what people, I wonder why they rave. I'm just a guy just trying to do a good job. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do. But I guess it was unique the way I did it. So I guess the question is, hire the right people who believe in the same things, methods of building business, have them deliver at a very, very high level. That alone is very challenging. They have to be really competent and very good at their job. And 3, they have to do the little things that matter. And little things that matter is, thank yous. People really care about getting a thank you note for people that they recommend. I mean, if you don't, you're unlikely to refer those people again. And that's how it scales, man. Hire the right people, have them do it that way, have them do it consistently, have them truly believe in it, have them do it for a long time. And what's going to end up happening is they're going to 2, 3, 5, 10x their own desk, their own little business within your business. Then all of a sudden 10x is very doable versus trucking along, doing more transactions and doing more of what you're exactly doing. It's exhausting, man. Like trying to 10x doing it that way is exhausting. Just think about how many times you have to 2x to get there versus just doing it right from the beginning, which is take great care of everybody you come across. Like, let's just think about how you and I met. We met through someone, right? And we enjoyed each other. Then I ended up, you asked me to be on your podcast. I had such a good time. You did such a great job. Then I asked you, hey man, would you help me do this? And you said, well, I don't do that. And then you came back, 5 months later and said, hey, I do that now. And I was like, let's go, put my money where my mouth was. Right. Yeah. I spoke so highly of your ability to run a great podcast. And I asked you, hey, I would do this. And then when you said, hey, I'm ready, I didn't go, oh, just kidding. It was just something that I say. I was like, done, let's go, right? Even though the timing wasn't great, even though I wasn't necessarily ready, I don't think I'm ready now, to be honest with you. You see how busy I am. But for me, my word is my bond, and I meant what I said. And now we've got this great thing, and I'm hoping it's such a success that all my friends are going to want to use you, right? But that, again, you didn't go asking for anything except just, hey, let's work together. Let's have some fun. Let's do some cool stuff. And it's absolutely going to 10x. But it takes time.
Yeah, it's very a natural progression. I think that's a testament to what you're talking about, the relationship aspect. Here is some advice that I've received recently, and I'm curious your thoughts on it. And I think it's adjacent to the topic we're covering. And it was, I'm not looking for friends. I'm looking for clients. So in speaking with alignment, there might be a clear delineation between friend and client, but also, are your clients your friends? How close do you get when you're doing a referral network-based scaling strategy? What are your boundaries and ideas around that concept?
I don't have a set boundary. My clients are not my friends. And I'm not going to pretend they're my friends. My clients can become my friends, and many of them have, based on a lot of mutual respect and trust and history, right? We can be friendly, we can become real friends, but it's not because I was trying to be their friend or they were trying to be my friend. We all have lots of friends, right? Sometimes we don't have time for our real friends. So I don't believe in that. But there's nothing wrong with being friendly. You know what I mean? And again, this all comes It all comes at a price. So if you introduce me to your friends, Nicholas, and I don't take great care of them because you couldn't benefit, I'll remember that and I'll stop referring. So often my team wonders why I meet with people that I know aren't going to be a fit. So they were referred to me to work at Higher Cloud. I already know they're not a fit. I'm going to give them the respect of meeting them. They might be a client that I know I won't want to support, but I'm going to meet them because someone referred them. It's a candidate that I absolutely cannot place at my client sites or hire for myself. I'm still going to meet them because it's not about me, right? That's a taker's attitude. Is like, thanks for the referral, Nicholas, but I can't use this product as if it's a product, but it's not. It's
Yeah.
a person, right? So I'm gonna go from a different angle. I don't even care about John who was referred to me. I care about Nicholas who referred this person to me. So it's like a heart, right? If it stops pumping, then it's dead, right? That that whole thing, that pipeline is dead because I killed it with my need to win and to make money from your referrals. And I've never thought that way. I've literally money is secondary and I'm very money motivated, but it's very secondary to me. It's more about taking care of things and people. And again, it comes back tenfold. People have asked why I've held on to certain employees for so long when they weren't productive. It's simple. I'm not some amazing angel of a human. I'm a good guy, but I'm an investor, right? For me, I'm investing in these people and I believe in them. So hopefully they make me look good for being a good guy versus or a believer and a long-term thinker versus make me look bad and because now I look like a sucker for holding on to someone for too long. So that's how I look at it. Hopefully I answered your question because we're going deep on some of these concepts, but.
Yeah, you did. I think I'm going to leave you with one more question, something that's practical that people can take it and run with it. What do you think the best strategy is to heighten your network or even meet people that you want to be working with? You want to build the relationship today so you can work with them a year, 2, 3 years, whatever that timeline is down the road.
You got to put yourself in position to meet those people, right? So if you want to meet, give me an example of a group you want to be around.
Gary V. I want to be around Gary V's firm. That was the first thing that came to my mind. I'm not sure.
You want to be around Gary V.
Yeah.
So you got to figure out where Gary V is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where is Gary V? And that's where you got to put yourself. You know, who knows Gary V? How would you get a recommendation? But before all that, how can you add value to Gary V's life, right? Obviously, he's got it all figured out. He's a celebrity and all this stuff. But how can you add value to him? Can you refer people to him? And organically, again, I get pitched all the time, and it's like, hey, I'm a guy, you're a guy. Let's talk to each other and share mutual. And I'm just like, I don't know you, right? I'll give you my network if you give me, and I'm like, listen, man, I'm not really interested in that, right? For me, man, forget Gary V because it's like a celebrity, right? But it's all about putting yourself in position to meet great people. That's kind of how I look at these things. So if you want to be around great people, then you gotta find ways to be around great people, even if it means you're showing up just to add value, right? Sponsor events. I don't know, do a dinner party for a person in their group, and expect not much from it. That's the funny thing. People expect, well, I did that thing. It's like, okay, so you didn't have to. So you almost, again, it's long term. It's all about the long term approach. It's all about doing it over and over again and not expecting much from it. That's the weird thing, right? Because we do in life, I'll pick you up from the airport, Nicholas, because I expect you to pick me up from the airport next time. Not the right way to do it. I can't pick you up from the airport. I'm going to pick you up from the airport with nothing that I expect in return. But if I call in a favor, I might expect the favor, but not tick for tack. But, I say that because everybody hates picking up people from the airport. That is, man. Even my brothers struggle with that. Can you pick me up from the airport? I'm like, how about I send you an Uber? And I send you an Uber, it's on me.
Yeah, that's funny. Two things that you said. before we close. One, I had a friend and who, speaking on the airport thing, he wasn't able to pick me up, and he sent me a text like saying, "I apologize. Like I know how it feels to be picked up from a friend when you return like from a trip because it like gives you a piece of home as soon as you're there." And I thought that was like such a like valuable insight into like, yeah, maybe that's why we ask our friends more than just taking an Uber. But something that you mentioned at the top of the answer was be where you want, like be where those people are. And something that came to my mind is, at least in online businesses, there's like the idea of like a digital water hole. I think that's what it's called, when animals go and hang out by essentially like finding your target audience and then seeing where they hang out online. But in reality, what you're saying is like find your target audience or people you want to connect with and see where they hang out in person. So, if you want to be surrounded by people that are Chick-fil-A enthusiasts, you go to Chick-fil-A for that. So yeah, I love it. That's practical.
That's it. Go where those things are, those people are. Just be there to observe, to learn, to take it in. Again, don't have high expectations because often you will be disappointed.
Any final thoughts, Avetis, before we wrap it up?
Yeah, there's one final thought. You know how everybody knows how successful Oprah is, and I don't know if you know her story, but she met some incredible person at an event or whatever, and people say she got lucky, and I always crack up. I'm like, no, she made her luck. She made her luck. How did she? She constantly put herself in position to meet that person, who then gave her the ultimate break. And that's how she became a celebrity. But I don't think she did it once randomly and became this superhero, right? So put yourself in the right positions to be lucky. If I pass you the ball, Nickolas, at the end of a game and you somehow were open for a layup and you made it and you won the game, I'd be crazy to call you lucky because you made your luck, right? You somehow escaped your defender and you were wide open and that's it. Or your 3-point shot is so deadly that I overplayed you and you went right around me for a layup. But it's about putting yourself in position to get lucky, basically.
I agree. Thanks for having me on again, Avetis. This was fun.
Man, it was a pleasure. Great questions as always.
All right. To the next one.
See ya. And that brings us to the end of another great episode of the Tech Leaders Playbook. I want to thank you for joining us and I hope you took away some valuable insights to apply in your professional journey. Don't forget to subscribe on your preferred podcast platform so you don't miss out on the next great conversation. I promise it'll be good. If you enjoyed today's episode, we'd appreciate if you could leave us a review. Your feedback not only helps us improve, but also help others discover the podcast. Better leaders mean better working environments. Better working environments leads to happier people. Remember, a rising tide lifts all boats. I'm Avetis and Antaplyan, and this has been the Tech Leaders Playbook. Keep leading, keep learning, keep giving, and I'll see you on the next one. Until then, stay inspired, my friends.